Hey there, folks! Before we begin, if you're curious about the mysteries of ancient civilizations, go ahead and follow Secrets of the Ancients. There's a lot more to uncover in this and future videos, so don't miss out. Mesopotamia, the forgotten Iranian civilization. The world's first civilizations appeared around 5,000 years ago in the Near East. The first cities, the first religions, the first kings, and a completely new social order. Shortly after, writing emerged, and with it, history itself began. Until the last century, Mesopotamia, what is now southern Iraq, was seen as the only cradle of this ancient revolution. But in the year 2000, in a remote valley among the mountains of northern Iran, something incredible surfaced, a treasure. Exquisite stone vessels turned up, proving there had been another center of civilization no one even thought existed. Some of the oldest Mesopotamian myths speak of a kingdom hidden by towering mountains called Aratta. Yet no archaeological evidence of Aratta had ever been found, so many dismissed it as just legend. But then came Jiroft, the living echo of Aratta.
One day, a local man said his mother had a dream. In it, someone told her, "You who have nothing, go dig by the riverbank. Bring back whatever you find there." The son did just that. He dug by the river and found the first objects. He sold what he found for about 500 euros. Maybe more, even 1,000. Word spread quickly, and soon the river was crowded with treasure hunters.
After 5 years of drought, the Halil River flooded, sweeping through this valley in southern Iran. For local families, the discovered treasure felt like an impossible opportunity. Hundreds of families began digging along the riverbanks.
Why do your kids have to dig here? Believe me, I swear. This morning, the school principal asked me for 200 toman, and I paid it. We just don't have any money left. If they had helped us a bit, we wouldn't do this. But they didn't, so we have no choice.
This isolated area also lay along one of the main smuggling routes for Afghan opium. Soon, Jiroft was full of traffickers, ready to buy objects worth thousands for just a few $100s, many times what they'd fetch in Western art markets. It took nearly a year before Iranian authorities realized what was happening. In early 2001, Tehran sent forces to secure the area and stop the looting. A month had passed when Professor Yusuf Majidzadeh was summoned to examine 200 seized artifacts. As an expert in Mesopotamian culture, even he couldn't have guessed what he was about to encounter.
When I first saw these objects, I almost had a heart attack. My heart stopped for a moment. They looked so familiar.
Fragments of artifacts with very similar designs had been found years earlier, far from where these came from, in Mesopotamian temples, in Oman, along the Indus River, and even in remote Afghanistan. Archaeologists had never figured out where they truly came from. But the sheer number of seized objects left no doubt they had been made right here in this valley. It was a simple conclusion, but with enormous consequences.
I can't describe in words how I felt when I saw them. For the first time, I was looking at something that contradicted everything I'd learned about archaeology. Something more detailed than Mesopotamian art, something completely unique.
The brilliance of these carved chlorite vessels made nearly 5,000 years ago pointed to another civilization as advanced as Mesopotamia. Isolated by 4,000-meter peaks and vast deserts, this valley where the treasure was found lies in the heart of the oldest cradle of Near Eastern civilization, between Mesopotamia and the Indus. Until then, this 400-kilometer strip of land had barely been explored by archaeologists, except for a small site called Tepe Yahya, excavated in the 1970s, which showed remains of a settlement of about 5,000 people. But the richest finds were actually made about 30 kilometers south of Jiroft, in the widest part of the valley. It took months before authorities fully regained control. When Professor Majidzadeh finally reached the site, he found a scene of devastation. The huge cemeteries had been brutally looted. The number of plundered graves showed just how many artifacts had been removed. and also hinted that this land had once supported a population of around 5,000 people, something no one had imagined.
It's so sad, deeply sad, because we lost so much information. Not just objects, but knowledge that can't be recovered. Not a single skeleton was left. Not a single bone we could study. Nothing. We don't know who these people were, how they were connected, what diseases they had, or what gods they worshipped.
The three largest plundered cemeteries lay near a small village called Konar Sandal, overlooked by two massive mounds. Scattered broken pottery on the ground hinted at a culture dating back to around 3000 BCE. Majid was convinced these mounds held discoveries of immense significance. 4 of the oldest Mesopotamian myths speak of a splendid kingdom called Aratta, a city so rich and powerful it amazed the Sumerians. No archaeologist had ever found Aratta, but one Sumerian legend describes the journey of a messenger from the king of Uruk, sent to demand Aratta's submission. The text tells how he passed through places like Susa and Arshan, where people bowed before him, then crossed 5, 6, even 7 mountain ranges until Aratta appeared before his eyes. Based on texts like that, Majid had published a paper in 1976, proposing that ancient Aratta was in this region of southern Iran. Now, 3 decades later, that old legend might finally be proven true. Every new discovery confirmed the site's importance. At the foot of a mound called Siru Mer, in trench number 6, they uncovered ruins of a different sort, a complex of rooms. These rooms seemed connected to the artifacts found in the graves.
Gentlemen, listen carefully. We found this stone on the ground with Mr. Salakwi. When you dig, look closely for fragments like this. This might be part of a human or animal eye that once decorated a stone vessel.
Further digs about 700 meters away uncovered more rooms which seemed to radiate outward from the main mounds, showing the entire area had once been a sprawling city. From there you could see other small mounds stretching toward Konar Sandal, hinting they too hid ancient structures. Majid and his team began mapping the whole ancient city, which likely extended as far as the cemeteries and included the old route of the Halil River. This was a huge prehistoric city. At the same time, Assistant Nader Suleiman led a broader survey of the whole river valley, finding between 500 and 600 archaeological sites. About 10 to 15% were Islamic, the rest were prehistoric. Even in remote mountain areas, they found traces of ancient habitation paving stones, pottery fragments, and signs of cemeteries. By the end of this first excavation phase, one thing was certain. This giant stone-built city had once been the center of a powerful kingdom that thrived here 5,000 years ago, the missing piece in the story of humanity. This civilization was completely ignored, totally forgotten by history. But now, slowly but surely, it's coming back into the light, revealing itself in all its glory. These discoveries have truly shaken up the whole archaeological landscape of the Near East. Who were these people? How advanced were they? What role did they play in the birth of the first civilizations? If a society managed to flourish in the heart of these mountains, it's probably because this valley existed not only 5,000 years ago, but maybe even earlier than Mesopotamia. It had everything needed to become a cradle of civilization. My first impression when we crossed the border mountains and entered this valley was that it felt like a little Mesopotamia, a flat, fertile plain with rich farmland. It had a river that wasn't just a source of life, but also something unpredictable that pushed the people living along it to come up with creative ways to adapt. To understand how this society managed to make use of its resources, new experts joined the team.
I study the bone fragments found at the site, trying to piece together the lives of the animals and, the people who lived here.
And I analyze plant remains, especially seeds and charcoal found in what were once living spaces. Thanks to this research, we're starting to see the picture of a society that reached the level of a true civilization.
So, traders from all those places might have come here, looking for raw materials for their homelands. This city was a hub at the center of a wide trade network that stretched across the known world. But what exactly were these foreign envoys after? And why was all this activity focused near that mysterious large building on the big mound? In Mesopotamia, it was usually the princes or priests who oversaw trade deals, checked goods, and sealed them. After discovering this, Majid-Zadeh put more effort into digging around that large structure. This last excavation was key to understanding the mystery of the building hidden under the mound. This western side of the huge building faces the old course of the Halil River. The entrance is there. On the right, you see the front wall. It isn't a straight entrance, but curves almost 90 degrees as you go in.
We might be able to explore 15 or 20 meters inside this year.
Who built this? Who lived here? It couldn't have been just anyone. It had to be someone from the elite.
You know, the repeated patterns in the artwork really remind us of myths found later, especially in Mesopotamian images. For example, the legend of Etana wasn't actually recorded in Mesopotamia until the late 3rd millennium BCE. It tells how a snake took revenge on an eagle for eating its young, hiding inside a dead animal to surprise its enemy. One carving here shows a cow, an eagle, and 2 fighting snakes. Probably that same story, but 500 years earlier than in Mesopotamia. Or take the Epic of Gilgamesh, probably Mesopotamia's most famous story. It features the scorpion man who guards the entrance to the land of the dead. In all of Mesopotamia, there's only one known depiction of this legend. But here, along the Halil River, the scorpion man appears on dozens of objects. For me, this all points to one idea. This culture flourished long before Mesopotamia, and likely influenced it in many ways.
When Eric Froissart checked geophysical scans, it looked like the professor's intuition was right. You could see the riverbed clearly in red and brown, with the land where Konar Sandal village was first built. There are dozens of meters of sediment above it, most likely filled with archaeological remains. About 1 meter deep, there are clear wall structures. 2 meters down, irregular shapes show up. Altogether, this proves several layers of remains built over generations. According to geomorphologists, beneath the surface there might be about 12 meters of city remains. So the oldest settlements here might not date back just 5,000 years, maybe even 10,000 years. We still don't know. But this evidence was only confirmed in late 2005. Almost all survey trenches were closed by then, except the one where Nader Suleiman made an amazing find.
Professor, we found a piece of baked brick. Could you come?
On this piece, the first baked brick found in the dig, there were clear, readable letters.
It's an ancient inscription, no doubt.
The team could hardly believe it, but it was real. This civilization had also invented its own script at the dawn of the 3rd millennium BCE.
Let's have a look. I think it says Arata, Aratta.
Yes, maybe it does.
This inscription appeared at the top layer of the mound, and there are still 12 meters of deeper remains below, so there could be even older writings. Anything is possible. Maybe even that writing itself was born here. Jiroft holds more and more hope for a past full of evidence waiting to be uncovered. In February 2005, an international conference on the Halil River finds was held. Over 2,000 people from all faiths attended. Experts from around the world finally got to see artifacts from what might be one of the world's oldest cities. A city that until recently was nothing but legend. It will take decades to uncover all the secrets of this civilization. But year after year, Professor Majid-Zadeh's dream is coming true.
It's more than a dream. I can't even imagine the consequences this could have. They could be huge.
Maybe we'll never know for sure if this city was really the Aratta mentioned in Mesopotamian texts. But nobody can claim anymore that Mesopotamia was the only cradle of civilization in the Near East. This other cradle now takes its place in human memory. When Professor Majid-Zadeh first came here, he told the locals, "History will remember the name of your people." Before, no one had heard of Jiroft or its people. But now their name is known around the world. 5,000 years ago, something remarkable existed in Iran, and today it's finally being discovered.